Come on.
He said, "You miss me." How you doing, baby boy?
Terence Crawford received a major boost in his preparations for the highly anticipated September mega fight against Canelo Alvarez, as undefeated boxing legend Floyd Mayweather paid him a surprise visit at training camp. Mayweather, one of only two fighters to ever defeat Canelo, offered his support and shared invaluable advice to help Crawford prepare for the biggest fight of his career. Known for his tactical brilliance and 52-0 record, Mayweather focused particularly on Crawford's footwork, encouraging greater mobility to counter Canelo's power and pressure. The visit is seen as a significant gesture from Mayweather, who clearly sees potential in Crawford to follow in his footsteps. Crawford is already considered a complete fighter, but with Mayweather's guidance, his chances of victory on fight night could greatly improve. This mentorship not only boosts Crawford's confidence, but also aligns him with one of the sport's greatest minds, making his upcoming clash with Canelo all the more intriguing.
Was it Ryan or was it Rolly? They both.
I ain't gonna lie, Rolly has like. People be sleeping on Rolly because he been obviously. I don't know how to say it, obviously. But yeah, if he don't got no chin now, so Rolly be getting caught. But Rolly, he can hit, bro. Like he can hit. He's the only person I felt like when he swung, it felt like bricks was in his glove.
Is that the hardest
really,
one?
Like,
Is that the hardest one?
Two fighters who defeated Canelo, Mayweather, and Bivol both had the trait of mobility. Crawford also needed to become extremely mobile in order to attack and avoid being hit.
Ryan Garcia, that last fight against them.
Oh my God! A double hook, short hook, caught Ryan.
This will only make Canelo angry and unhappy. And when Mayweather was asked to forecast the bout following training, he was certain that Terence Crawford would prevail. Crawford will remember that he has all it takes to defeat Canelo, I wager. That Bivol will oppose him. That's what I'm doing to Crawford as well.
Oh.
I have undoubtedly been profitable lately. During an interview, Floyd Mayweather recalled his historic weight class bout with Canelo Alvarez.
I definitely felt that.
I truly like, but that also didn't seem like just Tank in general, and
So is that Lamar Tank's fault?
And I will tell you this, Tank, I know for a fact, was sparring a 122 pounder, and that was the only person he sparred all camp. Literally all camp, that he sparred a 122 pounder.
Was he tall at least?
No, he's shorter than Tank.
Bro.
Or him and Tank same height. Like I said, Tank wasn't really training.
People want to discredit Tank and he's still a pound for pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night, or?
Everybody has an off night.
Had one catchweight fight. It wasn't my idea. It's public info. Anyone can look it up. Was scared to fight him and said he was willing to face me at 152 pounds. I called his bluff and agreed to the weight. There was no rehydration clause. He could weigh whatever he wanted after the win. Canelo officially came in at 152 or 152.5 lbs. But on fight night, he probably rehydrated up to around 168 or even 170. I came in at 151 or 152, so while the fight was at a catchweight, it didn't give me any unfair advantage. I just accepted his offer and delivered.
Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a night with Cruz. Everyone has a night. It's boxing.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
Maybe down the line.
Coach is a tremendous fighter, bro. He's a really good fighter, man, dude. He beat Hector Garcia, and then, you know, he took the belt from him, and he came up, you know, and I know he's a lot more durable and stronger at 135, you know?
He's also seen Tank the most in previous fights before.
Like they already had 2 fights, but
yeah, so that's why.
Crawford seems content with his current path, especially with a major move to a new weight class just weeks away. While comparisons between Crawford and the legendary Floyd Mayweather Jr. continue to stir debate among boxing fans, Crawford himself refuses to downplay Mayweather's accomplishments. Instead, he shows deep respect for the undefeated champion. Acknowledging Floyd's impact on the sport, when asked about the frequent comparisons, Crawford was quick to praise Mayweather, calling him the king and recognizing his greatness. "We have a lot in common in some aspects," Crawford said, "but we're a little different because I take more chances." He elaborated by pointing out that Mayweather also took risks early in his career, depending on which version of him. "You're talking about, there's Pretty Boy Floyd, and then there's Money Mayweather," Crawford explained. Pretty Boy was a can-destroy fighter, always pressing the action. But after suffering hand injuries, he couldn't keep up the same power, especially while moving up and facing bigger opponents. Crawford's words reflect both admiration and insight. He prepares to carve out his own legacy while honoring one of boxing's greatest.
Figured if anybody
2 fights.
Tank and Roach, they fought twice before in the amateurs.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, they had history and they sparred a good amount of times apparently and all that stuff, yeah, but...
So you think a rematch, do you think this remotivated Tank? And do you think a rematch, Tank just goes in and wins that fight?
I don't know, bro. We gotta see what like if it was a Tank tag.
Noted the similarities between himself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. But fans and analysts continue to debate who would emerge victorious. If they ever faced off, a recent source favored Crawford as the likely winner, especially after his dominant performance against Errol Spence Jr., which left the boxing world stunned. However, when it comes to pure boxing mastery, few can rival Mayweather's legacy. His sharp jab, precise timing, on elite counterpunching allowed him to dismantle a long list of top-tier opponents across 2 distinct phases of his career. As Justice Crawford pointed out, Pretty Boy Floyd was aggressive and attacked, while Money Mayweather evolved into a defensive genius, outclassing opponents with strategic brilliance. Both styles contributed to Mayweather's legendary status in the sport. While Crawford's recent feats are drawing well-deserved praise, Mayweather's sustained dominance over decades still stands as a benchmark. Choosing between them may come down to personal preference, but both represent the pinnacle of boxing excellence.
Are you talking about in sparring?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
8.
And you think that's relevant to this fight? You think you learned something back then you can take forward to this fight?
No, I wasn't really trying to learn that day.
Can Rolly pull off the upset against Ryan?
Can't Rolly pull off the upset.
Yeah, do you think
I don't want to say that's crazy, but yeah, hopefully, bro. Hopefully for the sake of Rolly, he pull it off. But it's gonna be a good fight. No, you think? Huh?
Someone's gonna get knocked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Terence "Bud" Crawford's dominant performance against Errol Spence Jr. was a masterclass in elite-level boxing. Whether it was his snapping power jab breaking through, Spence's high guard, or the perfectly timed counterpunches in heavy traffic, Crawford showcased supreme boxing ability. While we've seen glimpses of this brilliance before, never has it been so thoroughly displayed against a fighter of Spence's caliber when it comes to pure boxing. Floyd Mayweather often stands uncontested. His defensive mastery, impeccable timing, and unmatched ring IQ earned him a spotless 52-0 record across 5 weight divisions. But Crawford's style, though different, is equally compelling. It's a blend of precision, adaptability, and explosive. Offensive, especially in the way he angles his punches and shifts tempo mid-fight. A hypothetical prime versus prime matchup between Crawford and Mayweather would be a clash of boxing ideologies, Who would establish the jab first? Crawford's laser-like accuracy might allow him early success, but Mayweather's ability to analyze and adapt is unparalleled. Mayweather often lured opponents to the center of the ring where he processed data like a computer and adjusted on the fly to dismantle his foes. Crawford, too, demonstrates a high fight IQ, his victory over Spence being a prime example of calculating strategy meeting execution. Mayweather had the edge in counterpunch timing and defensive reflexes, but Crawford's unorthodox rhythm, slashing angles, and higher knockout rates suggest he brings more offensive firepower. Of Mayweather's 50 wins, 27 were by knockout. Crawford boasts 31 KOs in 40 fights and remains active. In terms of raw numbers, IQ, and style, this matchup is almost too close to call. Mayweather wrote the blueprint, but Crawford is using a different code to produce similarly dominant results. It's a battle that might best be left declared a draw on paper. At least
today, and the people that came to watch me, a lot of love is out there for me, and I think people know my heart and know that I'll be back and better than ever.
Brian?
Yeah.
Just sort of your take on the whole scene. I'm wondering if maybe, had that been a full arena, maybe fans chanting, would it have done something different? It kind of seemed like a little quiet for what we were expecting.
Yeah, I didn't really, wasn't a fan of that at all.
Decimating a power-punching, body-snatching fighter. Like Errol Spence Jr., a man who systematically broke down Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yordenis Ugas. To become the unified world welterweight champion was anything but easy. Yet Terence Crawford made it look effortless. His sharp timing, high boxing IQ, and especially his power were key reasons why. Crawford's performance in that fight placed him among the elites of his era, showcasing a complete skill set against one of the most feared fighters in the division. In comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, the contrast in styles becomes fascinating. Mayweather, often painted into corners, would roll his shoulder into his signature Philly shell, absorbing punches on his arm while using the other hand to counter with pinpoint accuracy. His brand of defensive boxing and counterpunching was executed at a near-perfect level, minimizing damage while maximizing efficiency. Crawford, while not quite as defensively gifted, is slick in his own right and arguably more aggressive offensively. He carries fight-ending power in both hands and switches stances fluidly, making him unpredictable. So how would a dream matchup between Crawford and a prime Mayweather play out? After a tense opening round filled with feints and probing jabs, Crawford would likely emerge as the more active fighter. His volume and pressure would test Mayweather's famed composure.
Boxing that had a following and all stuff, they're fresh out the amateurs, they promoted them like, oh, this is the next big thing, yada yada yada, all that stuff. At the end of it, I've done this 3 times. Three different divisions. I'm a 3-time world champion, and this might actually be the biggest, the most attended fight card in boxing history. And I did it on this night.
Say Paul Jones with the boxing voice.